Can I test again?
No, this is the live recording.
Oh, with live recording. La 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 live.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Vice Press Open Channel, where we talk about things like films and shows and prints and posters and art and all that sort of stuff. I'm your host, apparently, Florey. James is there.
Hello.
Matthew's there. He likes the proper name. And yes, it's been another. We did one last week. It's been a couple of weeks, I think. I can't keep it.
Yeah,
we missed last week because I had to go to Leeds.
Oh yes, there was a little something happening with a nice foil print that some of the kids that are social online might have seen. That was cool.
Yeah, I think by the time this drops, we will have had a 2-week gap. But yeah, I mean, it was for good reason though, because like Matt said, he went over to our printers because we've been tweaking the foils. We've been looking at the foil prints, looking at everything really, how we can improve it. We never rest on our laurels, do we?
Nope. Everyone says that's the best print ever, and then we go, no, it's the worst print ever. We're going to do better.
How can we make it better?
Well, push forward somewhere, don't you?
Yeah.
The artwork's not getting any better, so you got to.
No, well, it's one of your posters, so I mean, bloody hell, the printing's very
That's
important.
what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. That's why I'm making a self-depreciating sort of hilarious comment.
I'm just being honest.
All right. So what are we? Yeah. What have we been watching? I think we've all been watching a bit of the old Doctor Who. We talked about the first of these. We've had 3 specials with David Tennant. We talked about the first when it came on, and we were like, "Oh, yeah, that was pretty good." So now that we're all through them all, what do you guys?
We talk about the second one or on an episode.
No, we didn't. We just talked about the initial kind of feelings on that first one, and now we've come through it all. I think we need to.
And do an encompassing
and what we
thing.
think of where it's going, yeah.
Well, it was good.
Matthew.
It was good. The second episode was my favourite of the 3 because I enjoyed the sort of John Carpenter, sort of H.P. Lovecraft overtones. It was really good. The third episode was the most Doctor Who-ish in terms of like Russell T Davies. It felt very Russell T Davies. I don't know if the first ever David Tennant story, The Christmas Invasion, I think it was called, that ended with like a big thing on a spaceship up in the sky and stuff going off. And this one kind of ended, it wasn't on a spaceship, but it was on the building up in the sky. And to me, it felt very similar because also David Tennant was just in his pajamas in that episode the whole time, right? And in this one, when they split off, the new guy, the shooty doctor, is kind of like just in his shirt. Because I saw somebody saying like they don't understand why he's only got a shirt. What's going on? It's like, well, because he got the shirt and the pants and the tie, and then David Tennant Doctor Who got the trousers and the undershirt. He had like a vest thing on, didn't he? But not a shirt, and the waistcoat. So they just split the outfit.
Obviously, full spoilers here. Matt's gone right to the end of the last episode there.
I don't give a shit. There's 2 of them now.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, it's like I've said before, and I think because me and Matt have been talking James through it. Like you've been watching them, James, and had more questions because you're not as big of it. You're not really a Doctor Who kid. And I think I said the other day, don't think about it too much. They're just going to make up whatever they want to get to where they want it to be, and I think that's been proven here.
Yeah. Well, this one goes full fantasy, really, because the toy maker is just like his own magical being from another dimension, and there's no rules to what he does. So then that's opened it up for them to have like a loosening of the rules with the rules of Doctor Who and stuff. That's how I took it, anyway.
Yeah,
I felt like because they had those 3.
James wanted to say something.
Oh, sorry, I was already going. There's a
carry
delay.
on.
We'll blame that.
It's fine. Carry on.
This is a quick one. It's quick. It felt to me like I think I said after the second episode to you guys like, it's kind of a bummer. Like I wasn't sure I wanted these guys, but now this little crew's back with like her family and all that sort of stuff. So it was really well done. I liked all the characters, and I've liked Tennant and Donna better than I ever liked them before. It's like, I'd be ashamed for them to go, but now I'm happy because they don't necessarily need to be gone. That's all I want to say.
No. I think it was very clever in terms of how they've handled this regeneration or bi-generation. Again, I don't know a huge amount. About Doctor Who, but I think when you're looking at it from a storytelling universe perspective, it opens up loads of opportunities. You can have two doctors wandering around together. You can open up multiple avenues of storytelling, whether it's a film, whether it's comics, whether it's all of this. You've got quite a lot canonically that you can play with. But then also you're kind of thinking, or at least me, because I'm sad, I guess you're thinking from the commercial side of it as well. They've kind of given themselves a bit of a leg up, because now they can start to really, if they want to, they've got one of their, I guess David Tennant's commercially their most successful Doctor.
Feature film, they could do a movie.
Yeah, if things dip, or if they want to kind of oomph more life into it, they've got loads of avenues they can explore, but also loads of unanswered questions. It kind of now blows open that whole mythos a little bit. What happens now when one of them dies? Do they both regenerate? Does only one of them regenerate? Does one of them die?
They have to obviously be pulled apart to bi-generate, so that's like a one-time thing. But if they wanted to do it again, I think they could. But also, how much of it was because of the toy maker coming in and changing reality? Because he made it quite clear that he's been around for a long time messing with the Doctor, and because he knew all about his companions and shit. And it's like, all right, so you've just been messing about, and that's why it's being all over the place, because he's just in the background messing around. That's what I thought.
I'll say it again. If they want to have 7 Doctors running around, they'll just all be pulling each other all over the place. If they don't, then they won't. It's as simple as
they'll
that.
just go. They'll just come from another time, because in the past they've just come from their time into the current time, and they've just gone.
I just wanted to say they'd be pulling each other. That's really what.
You're pulling off. They want to be pulling each other off. Yeah. I thought it was very good.
In terms of the episodes, though, what's your thoughts on the 3 episodes in terms of quality? Thumbs up? Did you like them? That kind of thing.
It was all very solid. I still think some of the Matt Smith stuff was better. Like the 50th anniversary is still probably one of my favourite all time, with John Hurt and everything.
You should go watch that, James.
Yeah, we were talking. Me and
incredible.
Matt went out for beers yesterday. We had the Vice Press Christmas party, which is why we both probably look a bit glassy-eyed.
Oh, is that what was happening?
Yeah, we went out for lunch with the better halves and Joe and Sarah from Bear Tree Records in Sheffield, and then me and Matt and Joe stayed out for a few more drinks. Then me and Matt stayed out for even fewer drinks. So
and everyone was drinking a lot slower than me. Like James was like, "I'm going to have this pint and I'm going to spend half an hour drinking it," and I was like, "I'm going to have 3 cans of beer while you're drinking."
yeah. And then, like a proper gutter rat, I was eating a Burger King on the train on the way home.
Nice.
So that was fun. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the episodes. These 3 episodes. That's not what I was saying. Matt, you were saying about going back and watching the 50th. Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch some. I'm going to pick bits and bobs up. What I'm not going to do yet, because I haven't got the time and I'm still doing it with Star Trek, is to try and pick out certain episodes, certain events, and watch those, I guess, to get a bit of that. But in terms of these 3 episodes, I thought the third one was the weakest in terms of plot and things that was going on, but it had those kind of elements that helped elevate it above and beyond a bit more. I think the second one was my favorite. That pulled, you had stuff that was kind of Arthur C. Clarke. You've got Solaris kind of stuff in there. You've got Lovecraft. You've got Carpenter. It was kind of, all 3 of these episodes have been quite clever because they've pulled elements, they've pulled bits from other bits of pop culture, not as a rip-off, but more in reverence to them, which I think has been quite funny, quite good.
I think what the best thing about these is that they've introduced you and everyone to what Doctor Who actually is, because they're very much like the 3 archetypal kind of bits and bobs, like these are the episodes they do, and you've seen them now, so now you know if you like Doctor Who or not. It's as simple as
Yeah,
that.
it was very like this is what Doctor Who is. Explained for people that don't necessarily know or have cared to watch it before, in an entertaining and really the narrative was really good. The overarching narrative about him, why he had that face again, which explained the thing in the 50th with the character in the 50th retroactively, which I really liked about it as well. So I like when they retroactively explain stuff.
They felt like best ofs almost, because each one was kind of a different genre, like what Matt was saying there. And I did think the whole Avengers Tower thing was quite funny, because that was clearly, I mean, there was kind of
There's
some
little
winks.
The little Scottish dolls with the wee babbies.
Oh yeah.
What the? And it's like crawling up her leg.
Yeah.
Me babbies. That was very good.
I thought it was great. I really thoroughly enjoyed them.
Yeah, I think overall it's a huge success, and now they just have to carry forward with that and sprinkle in a bit of old Dave and Donna whenever they feel like it, or
you can do that.
I think they should do a feature film. I think it's good enough to hold a feature film. So a 2-hour movie of David Tennant adventure would be, with a real budget, would be pretty awesome.
Do they just do that for Disney Plus now, do you think?
Yeah.
Would that be the go?
Maybe.
Possibly.
I don't know. Maybe in cinemas, it would definitely go cinemas here, for example, because we would all just en masse as a country go see it. It's like Matilda, that came out on Netflix everywhere, didn't it? But here they put it in cinemas, and the whole country was like, Roald Dahl, we're going to the cinemas, that's the rules.
Yeah.
So
that's the rules.
It did, though. It did really well over here, didn't it? The cinema. I think it did better than what
Matilda did. Great, yeah.
Kind of expecting to do.
Good film.
Which is brilliant.
It's an awesome movie, yeah.
Still haven't sat and watched that. So what else have we been watching this week? You guys have you kind of dived into anything else? Have you had the opportunity to watch anything new?
Slow horses.
Well, so what?
Oh,
you've not mentioned.
He always start up about
this,
slow horses.
It's the best. And you idiots won't watch it because I'm like, because you enjoy winding me up.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm just going to say it every week or every day until you watch it because it's so good.
Yeah, I was going to watch it when I got home last night.
I'm not watching it.
I don't care. That's what it feels like to me.
I was going to watch it, and then I got home and I put on golf on YouTube. So,
I hate you all. I hate you.
That is painful. Well, what have I been watching? Oh, I had a fun time not watching Slow Horses, which seemed like I was doing it on purpose, because I've just fallen into what can only be called a giallo hole. And for people that don't know what that means, it means I watched Suspiria for the first time in
crazy Italian movies
20 years, and really got into a hole because I was like, this film fucking rules. And before I keep going on about it, I just need to do something to my lights to set the scene. Make sure. Oh, it's not going to work, is it? No, it's not. Anyway, those films are really cool. I've watched. So what did I watch? I started with Suspiria, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm into this now. What am I going to do? So I watched the sequel to that, which was no, I didn't. I watched Deep Red first, which was like an earlier one, the one before it, I think. And that was cool because, what I didn't realize about all this stuff is that he doesn't really make, because Suspiria is about witches and shit, right? And it's all colorful.
Yeah.
And then none of the others are like that, which was my biggest discovery. They're all more like there's murders and stuff, but it's like a mystery as to who they're like insane Italian Agatha Christie's or something, or like Miss Marple or some shit. But there's no like. There's just one of the characters is detecting, and they're nuts. And there's like all this fucking like point of view, like killer stuff, and just the blood's an insane like shade of red. Good stuff. I must have watched 6 of them in the last 2 weeks.
Speaking of Italian murder mysteries, we watched the new Poirot, the Ken Branagh one, which is on Disney Plus now. And that's kind of got elements of that No, but
He
it's
is.
set in Italy. It's
But
called fucking
they're
Death in
in
Venice,
Venice,
James.
yeah.
Oh, they're in Venice. Oh, right. They're
I know he's a
in
Belgian,
Italy.
you
Okay.
spelling. Right. Anyway, and the murder mystery is in it is got ghosts and stuff like that, and that's very got that Italian, all on purpose, obviously, like the Italian horror movie vibe to it. And that's a really good movie.
We keep meaning to. I mean, there's two conversations going on here now. Like the
That's
Argento
okay. That's
stuff.
how we do it.
I've only ever watched Suspiria, I have to admit. So I do want to go back and watch some of the other ones. And actually, you saying that has made me more interested to go and watch them, being that kind of
They're good
murder
movies.
mystery-esque kind of thing.
Proper weird.
So I wonder, like, that might.
And they're so. It's like that. It's not that they're like you watch Suspiria. Suspiria is definitely the best one that I've watched so far. But you watching some of the others. What was the other one I watched that I liked? Tenebrae was good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was like where basically like Stephen King, someone's like using his latest book to like, and he's like this killing chicks and then stuffing the pages in their mouths and stuff like that. And he's in Italy in Rome at the time, and it's like, oh, this is cool. What's going on here? And then it just gets mental. They always just get mental at the end because it reveals like someone or something, and you're like, what? How? And then they give it to you, and you're like, "Wow!" And there's usually like Goblin is doing the soundtrack, so the synths are just like fucking pumping. Or like one of them, some jazz band did the score, so it was just like this like insane fucking bass riff and trumpets and shit popping off. And they're just like there's like an energy to it, you know. They got something there. That shit's just cool. I like it.
That is cool.
But then that led me for some reason to watch movies that I don't usually watch. Like I watch a lot of horror films, but I hate just like boring American modern horror stuff like The Conjuring, and I don't think is very good. The first one was good. The rest of them I don't like. So then I went and watched Annabelle 1 and 3 for no real reason, both in one day. And I had a pretty good time.
They're all right, those Annabelle movies, I've got to say.
They're better than I would say they're better than the Conjuring stuff. And
really,
I like the first Conjuring, but then the second one is where they go to England, and it's just
I can't remember.
The TV version of that was better. The TV version of that story.
Oh,
with the Enfield haunting.
Is that what it's based
Timothy
on?
Spall was in it. Yeah. That was a lot better than the TV one with Timothy Spall.
Yeah, that's really
Timothy
good.
Spall. If you want anything. You know?
If you want to dive into that, Florey, those Enfield haunting.
Haunting.
Like,
we're in an haunting in Enfield.
It's based on it. If you don't know, like back in the 80s or 70s or I don't know. Back 70s. In the day, there was a thing where these kind of
70s.
This family was saying the house is haunted and all this stuff's happening, and they had video footage.
It was the two girls, and they were putting it on.
Yeah, it turned out it was all made up, but it was, but it kind of like was huge in the news.
No such thing as ghosts. Sorry to ruin anybody's day. No but such thing as ghosts.
Captured folks' imagination. Anyway, I want to just quickly dive back to what you were saying about old Kenny B's Agatha Christie trilogy. Yeah, I haven't watched Haunting in Venice yet, but I'm really looking forward to sitting down. I think that's going to be on our Christmas list when that's on.
So first one's very good. The Train, yeah, it's on Disney. Yeah. The first one's very good on Train. The second one was
I've only watched
a bit
Train
crap and had too many. Yeah, the second one on the boat was a bit crap and too many famous people in it, and it wasn't as good as the old one from back in the day. But this one is it's totally different. So it's got proper like weird, crazy, haunting stuff in it, and like you get to see like his point of view as he's hallucinating shit, and it's really good. Actually, I enjoyed it a lot.
Dive into that.
And it's like tame, like it's not like a proper horror. It's still tame, but it's good, and I just like him and his moustache. He's just cool. So.
And there are reasons why Florey's diving into the Argento stuff. You can't really go wrong with Ken Branagh, can you? Like he's always.
What are you saying, James? Reasons for what?
I was saying there are reasons why Florey's diving more into the Argento stuff.
Yeah, he's making a poster.
But there's other reasons as well.
Oh yeah,
which we will dive into.
Yes. No, the other one.
Anyway, the other thing. Oh, I've lost track now.
TBA.
Where we're at.
He's starring in Dario Argento.
We're talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Is he? Hang on. Do we know? He is still. Yes, he is. Okay, good.
He's about 8. He's still going.
Yes, he
He's
is.
not dead.
Yeah, he's on it. He's on it.
No, he's still very actively involved.
Yeah, speaking of a master of a certain genre who just keeps kicking on and doing stuff, today I took the kids to see The Boy and the Heron, which is the latest Hayao Miyazaki film, which is the man what done Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service and fucking everything, right?
Nausicaa.
Name them. Nausicaa,
Castle in the
one where that
Sky,
guy
My Neighbor
shoots
Totoro,
faces off.
Kiki.
That's it.
Princess
the cartoon
The
one.
man
Howl's Moving
does
Castle.
not miss. This thing.
He's not made a bad movie.
Matthew,
it's insane. Not a single bad movie.
You're gonna have to go. Even you maybe can't take Martha, your kid, but you're gonna have to go because the
How
animation.
is it compared to say Howl's? Is it worse than Howl's? Because she really liked Howl's.
When you say worse, what do you mean?
Like more scary or more freaky.
So it is.
Like...
It's fucking weird, right? Well, I got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, almost 7 and 10. They both really liked it, but I was sort of looking at little man going, is he into this? Like I couldn't tell sometimes because there was a bit of a shifting of the bum and all that, but he was. I think it's just so like I would say narratively, it's like his loosest film, and Howl's gets a bit that way. Like there's a lot of shit with the stars and all that sort of stuff. It just sort of fucking
weird
goes,
stuff in Howl's, but Martha just loved it. She loved it.
Well, if she loved that, this isn't. I don't think it's like scary or anything. It's pretty intense in some parts because it's got sort of war stuff in Japan. A lot of fire involved. It's animated in a really. It's all the heat waves and shit. Like they're sort of warping the animation, and it's really fucking crazy and really well done. Really, really cool. One of the coolest things I've seen. And
whatever.
It's ever. And it's just cool. And one of those things where, I don't know, I get overwhelmed sometimes when something's like really artistically like just incredibly done, and like it gets me emotional. Like I can't believe I'm looking at it, and I got a bit of that. I got a bit of that from this for sure. And there is emotional stuff in it too, which could really get you as well. Because there's not a animated film made ever in the history of the world where someone's mum's not dead. Like always,
it's true.
I have to have a dead parent. I had to have a talk to my kids a few years ago. Actually, like, guys, I know we watch all these films, but we're okay. I'm not gonna. If I get on a boat, I'm not gonna crash it.
Everyone's
like,
dead.
I'm not just gonna fucking drive a car off a cliff.
That's wild. You know what that makes me think of? The Olaf Presents. Have you watched the Olaf Presents on Disney Plus?
Doesn't he do a retelling of the?
Yeah, he does, so he does in Frozen 2. He does the retelling of the story, doesn't he? To get everyone up to date, and he's just like, the parents are dead. And then he does like all the movies. So like when he does the Lion King, he's like, Simba is dead. And then just each one is like, dead. And he's like in the corner with his back, just going, dead. And then dead. It's so funny. It's one of the funniest things. The Lion King retelling that he does, Olaf, is so
one of those
funny. I honestly put it on. It's so funny. That's all.
He's one of those comic relief characters where you're like, I should hate this kid, but he's
oh
great.
man,
Olaf.
He does the Little Mermaid, and he's got the seashells and the what, and he goes, part of this world. It's so funny. I know this, isn't it? And I'm just like in tears at how funny it was because it's a snowman being the Little Mermaid. It was just hilarious. That's and Moana. I am Moana.
Might have to watch those.
Yeah, what was I on
it's
about?
So funny.
I don't even know.
You're on about
the only better thing on Disney Plus is Forky Asks a Question, because Forky Asks a Question is just
you do like that.
Unbelievable. What?
You do like that, I said. I've heard you mention that before. That's one that passed us by.
It. Forky asks a question, and then he goes, I don't know. And he just asks questions. It's so funny.
Did you, James, have you even seen Toy Story 4? Yeah, we don't know what he's on about. He's lost his mind.
Yeah, no, I've watched I have watched Toy Story 4. I liked it. I think it was It was probably the least good of them all, but I think it
it is the least good, but it's
of...
also got the best character because Forky is the best.
Forky's incredible. Forky's
I
incredible.
just
It's
love
such
Forky
a good
so
idea.
much.
Yeah, I watched
Trash.
this week. Trash. I watched the Scott Pilgrim Takes Off cartoon on Netflix this week.
Oh, yeah.
And I've now mentioned it to you both on thing. Yeah, I was just when I was packing posters and frame prints and stuff, I just like to put stuff on that's just a bit more that you don't have to concentrate on. And I was kind of
So you
semi-interested.
didn't really watch it then, did you?
Well, no, I did. This is the thing. This is why it's taken me ages to do these things. Because I really like the comics, the Brian Lee O'Malley comics, and I really like the film.
Yeah.
And I was a bit reluctant because I'm like, what's it going to do different, both of those? Because the film's just adapts it completely different. Episode 1, it just goes in a mad different direction. It's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But it kind of makes sense. I don't really want to go into spoilers because to kind of dive into the conceit of it is to spoils it a bit. But it's quite clever in what they do, and it's well.
It's a comic book, isn't it? I bet you that's what I would do. I would do it as a comic book, but like it's animated.
No, but you're on the right line. You're on the right line.
I'm not an idiot.
But it's not a comic book.
I could do that. I bet you it is.
So I was. It's not a comic book.
How much do a couple of fucking idiots do you want to look like in public, right? We always have this conversation when the film comes out. It's not like it doesn't live up to what you wanted or whatever. It's like, how fucking hard is it? We're always sitting there like, I can do that.
I always used to say I could be Doctor Who. I could be Doctor Who. Cast me. I'm a fine actor, and I literally couldn't actually do it. I'm not a fine actor at all. I'm not good enough to be Doctor Who, but I still say it like an idiot. So there you go.
Give it a go for a day and then walk off set. I reckon it'd never be seen again.
I just realised somebody would direct me, and I'd go, "Shut up."
I've got mental problems. I need to put this pen away because I've literally just the last 5 minutes. I just started like doing some hatching on this print that's open in Photoshop while we're doing the podcast.
That's not right.
That's not right. I should probably save it and close it.
That's not right.
Let's just all start.
Carry on.
We were being quite boring, to be fair.
While we do our we just podcast while we'll do our individual jobs. It's just both you two illustrate, I'll be packing stuff, or
I'm not illustrating nothing. I painted a ceiling this morning.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it like the Sistine Chapel or a big naked man on it?
It's because Christmas is coming, so you got to sort of like
gonna have your new ceilings.
Yeah.
You're freshly
is it just painting over the wet spot?
Yeah, just painting over like in the bathroom where the paint's peeling off. Just gone. Because, people come over and you don't want them to think that you're like trash people, even though you are trash people. So
even though you are. Yeah.
I've never
put all the trash in one room and shut the door and say, don't go in that room. Because that's where, and if they open the door, they'd be like, oh my God.
I've never understood this, even though I do it myself. Where like, our house is such a mess and I feel so bad about it. And you go around and the house is not a mess.
Nah.
I mean, obviously, because they've generally spent 2 hours cleaning prior to you going round and then still caveat it.
You've never said your house is a mess, have you? Because that's bullshit if you have.
What?
No one I've ever known that would keep on top of their house more than you.
Well, I think we've let it slip more in the past year than what we used to, but that's just because we're so busy and we don't have a cleaner anymore.
Don't have a cleaner.
Also, how,
James?
Hell. Also, how?
What?
Like nothing. There's no one in yet. It doesn't. No one's there to do anything. If you just put your one glass and your one knife and fork back where you got them from, then the house is clean. Like I don't get it.
There's two of us. I'm not a spinster, but then yeah. We don't. Kids,
two.
so...
Okay.
Our house is a mess. Definitely.
But that's the thing. They're not, though, are they? They're not. I mean,
yes,
I've seen houses that are messes.
There's more. It's not like we're compulsive people that have got like stacks of newspapers dating back to 1950 and stuff. We're not like that. Not
hoarders,
like crazy OCD hoarders. But there's a lot of mess.
What I'm saying is, I think people need
shut
to
the door on the mess room like that.
Give themselves a little bit of slack, because I don't think anyone ever goes around to a house and judges somebody because it's untidy. And if someone came around my house or one of my friends' house and did judge them, they're not. Fuck off, don't care. They're not the type of person that I'd want to hang around with, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But then I
And
guess
you want to
that's
hang
why
around
you're-
with me, and I'm like the most judgmental prick.
Yeah, but also you are, but in a different way. You're not.
Oh, I get away with it somehow. Okay.
You're not like someone's parents had come round and go, "Oh God, oh wasn't their house grim? Oh God, yeah, no. Oh, this is so dirty." You're more like your fucking house is a state. What you doing? You don't do it surreptitiously behind somebody's back.
You want to hear a good one in regards to this?
Maybe.
That happened the other week. It happened the other week to me.
on.
Herbie had his first big boy sleepover at his mate's house for his mate's birthday, right?
Yeah.
we get there. He's like, it's different because the houses are different, right? Families are different.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. So we get there and like the dogs run up and he shits himself and he's like, I'm not fucking going in there. That dog's going to murder me. This is literally what he said. So I'm like, yeah, just chill out. So I hang around for a bit. I'm talking to them, blah, 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 blah. And get in there and he goes, I'm like, all right, mate, I'm going to head off then. And he goes, you can't go yet. I'm like, oh, and he's like, they get on the verge. You sit a lip and I'm like, what's happening? And he goes, first, these dogs are trying to murder me. Now, this house is a bloody mess. And I'm like, this house is a bloody mess, Dad. Because it's just different than, like, there was a bit of stuff strewn about or whatever. Like, they obviously have a different level of where they keep it. And I was just like, oh mate, you like, shut the fuck up. You can't say that. Kids, man.
With a pet, were they in earshot of this?
Oh, they were standing right there, and the dad went, "Oh," like that, and I was like, it's just because they've got the stuff out for you guys to sleep over, whatever. Like I tried to just like play it off, like faux pass as soon as you come through the door.
That's
hilarious. Kids
dear.
are amazing with that kind of stuff, aren't they?
Hey,
oh yeah.
do you remember last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, when we did this, and there was those questions that were really good, or that question that settles off? Has there been any questions? Let's do
that same man did like 10 questions, so...
Yeah, Ben did a few.
What do you mean? You just said yes, and then you just said no. Which is it?
We haven't had any new questions. Let me find them. And find them. Because you two need to be a little bit more active online with telling people this thing exists.
You'd be lucky.
I just retweet it if I see it. I'm not... Like, no one gives a shit about my social media, including me. I've given up.
You don't get interactions like that anymore, especially on Twitter. That's the problem. It's just rubbish. And I can't use Facebook because Facebook, you've got your Facebook page, you've got your group, you've got Vice Press, you've got this, that, and your notifications come up for all the different things. And you click the notification, it doesn't take you to the comment. It just goes.
Oh God!
So you can't actually check comments on Facebook. It's impossible. It just doesn't. It just go. You click it and it just goes off somewhere, and you're like, "Where am I now?" Rubbish.
Or it does
and
that thing where
Instagram's just like a giant sea of stuff, Grumble.
The Facebook
grumble.
one that gets me is when it does the like you click on a thing and it's like, oh cool, I'll just change your profile now. I'm like, no, don't just show me why do I need this to happen now? And I forget to change back, and I'm like,
it clicks over to your page or your group or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, for God's sake.
So this is an interesting one. So I'm reading through Ben's questions. So thanks for sending these in, Ben. I'm kind of cherry picking them to a degree.
He's that one listener, is he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Anybody that's listening right now, if you're still listening to this, if you got through the bullshit talk about painting ceilings,
whatever we talked about,
and Olaf presents, ask some questions. So that James doesn't have to try and find a question. Ask some questions. Comment on the video or something. I don't know. Come on. I need a bit of help
when we're at Thought Bubble, right, and people kept coming up and being like, "Oh, we'll listen to it every week. Don't miss it." Where are you?
Yeah,
say something.
Comments.
Let us know
Where's
you're
the
there.
shares and the likes? Where's the shares and the likes? The clicking and all that is what gets it working or something. That's what they always say on videos. They say, click it or something.
Click it and flick it.
Also, help us out because we've got absolutely nothing to talk about.
Literally talking about
if you want to say something, say
doing the shopping.
How are we supposed to launch a patrons project to pay our mortgage when we've only got 200 listeners or something? Come on, guys.
Come on, guys. Tell your mum, get your mum to like it on her YouTube account. I don't know who that's going to do for us, but, something.
Can you discuss
Smash that
a
like
challenging
button.
moment? Yeah, smash it. Smash that like button. Can you describe... nope, let's start again. Can you discuss...
No, thanks, we won't.
Can you discuss a challenging moment in your artistic journey and how you overcame it?
Just every single day, and I don't. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare.
The one that comes to mind for me is the one I always say about how I was doing my A-level exam, and it was the 5-hour art exam.
Mm.
And the art teacher came up and asked me what I was doing and like what I was thinking or whatever, and I told him to fuck off. And that was challenging.
This
and then
is
I
my
had to
process.
And then I had to go finish the painting in a cupboard, the art supply cupboard, because I told her to fuck off, quite violently probably. But I failed. Failed art at school because of that and other things, because I wouldn't show my working. So I was like, we need to explain what you were thinking with this. I was like, I wasn't thinking anything. I just thought it might be a nice picture. And then as you get older and you do more pictures, you realise you do actually think of things and you think about things, but you do it almost subconsciously and and you learn to articulate that more as you go. But you shouldn't have to. No artist should have to explain why they've come up with something or what it means to them personally, because it's subjective. It's for the person that likes the picture to decide.
I think that art is generally taught very poorly. Yeah. I think that art is generally taught very poorly. It should not be, let's teach them to play the weird game that everyone's invented as to what art is now. It should be, this is an oil paint. This is this. Like, teach them the technical aspects of, like, the mediums and they should probably
even then that goes wrong.
A business element to it and stuff like that.
Fuck the business side, but even that goes wrong when they at school tried to teach the technical side of things, like, and they were like, that's not how you're supposed to cross hatch, or that's not how you're supposed to use oil paints. And I'll be like, get bent, does it look good? Yeah, there's no rules with art. That's the thing that's why they can't teach it, because there is no rules. It's what you personally want to do. And the best art is always when the person just did what they wanted and everybody else gets lost.
Yeah. Okay.
That was my hurdle in life. Coming to that realization that the best is when you just do what you want. And like the most famous artists ever, the ones that have lasted, they always just did what they wanted and they didn't care what other people thought. And that art is why that it's so good, because it was just personal and real.
I guess art is very subjective in terms of whether you like something or whatever, but because you've got different levels of art, haven't you? You've got the stuff that you do, then you've got stuff like, I don't know.
Well, commercial art is different. You're being hired to do something, yeah.
Yeah, but there are from an art at school perspective, there is merit to teaching people technique and styles and the difference in styles and the history of art and where it comes from. It's then down to the individual person to then utilize that or not, or do what they want to or not. But, and this is somebody that's not an artist.
It should be separate. It should be art history. Yeah. And then from that, you can make informed decisions on what you want to do. Because obviously every artist starts out by copying other artists.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. And then you come to your own sort of thing that you would like to do. But yeah, it's when that side of it becomes more important than the actual final result that and that is a genuine hurdle to come, because lots of people want to know how you made something, and it's very hard to sort of tell them.
I think they're missing the point by asking that.
I just wanted to do that.
That's the problem, is that they're missing they don't have the creative brain, so they think that there's got to be something behind it.
Do you draw? Do you paint? Do you use Photoshop? Do you do this? That's like, none of that's important at all. Just use those things to get to your end result, the picture which is inside your head.
Yeah. they're almost
put it
different.
out
They
any way you
they
can.
should be different subjects then, shouldn't they? Like how to use Adobe should be separate from art, as in sitting down and painting or whatever.
I'm sure it is, but obviously at like A level sort of standard, they just mix it all together. It's just art. I guess.
And it is
your further education is separated. It was for me anyway. Like there was bits and bobs that I could choose to either do or not do, and all that sort of stuff.
Your modules and all that stuff.
Do they incorporate the business elements of it into it? Like, I'm not talking like the hardcore running a business as in like what we do, but how to monetize.
I think at university level,
yourself.
I'm assuming if you'd go to university level, because I didn't, you would have to maybe put on an exhibition at the end of your.
But that's wank. That's all fucking.
That is wanky, but that is putting on an exhibition, isn't it? And that's kind of learning how to do that. If you've got to do it yourself, and if they've not got a space, you've got to find your own space, all that sort of stuff. I'm guessing. I don't know. That would be a thing, I guess.
I mean, for me, I did my fucking whatever it was called, diploma of graphic arts and whatever long name they gave it. 2 years of just again, like what Matt was saying, working backwards and pretending to do the developmental work after the fact, after you'd already finished the fucking thing, because who actually does that? It's so weird. And obviously fucking nailing that. But like, if I had have come out of it and gone, right, I'm just going to freelance straight away, I would have been so screwed. I would have got taken in by whoever. I would have paid any agent or whatever they wanted, because I wouldn't have known what was right and what was wrong. And you come out of it not knowing anything about what you should be charging. That's never mentioned in. I mean, maybe now, they've gotten wise, but it just always feels strange. If I hadn't have gotten the job that I did straight out of it and worked there for like 8 years and just kind of like gleaned things off the studio that I was in, I think I never would have been able to do any of this. Just having some sense of the right and wrongs.
I just sort of muddled through. Obviously, because I didn't do the degree. I didn't work anywhere before I did this. I didn't do any I didn't work in a design studio. I didn't work for anybody. I went straight from shop to this.
What was the games thing? Didn't you do a games thing for like 5 minutes?
When I was like 17, I made textures for games for fun, and then when the Star Wars Jedi game came out, we did modifications for that, and then they got put into the actual game. But we just let them have it because it was just mods, So I got a credit on a game and all that sort of stuff, and that's how I learned Photoshop, just self-taught. But no, the business side of it, I've just learned as I've gone along. Yeah. So it's I've just muddled through.
It's what's apparent to me is that everybody's journey is very different, isn't it? Like your journey, Florey, is very different to what Matt's is, and there's no. And then
mine's quite unique, to be honest.
Yeah, yours is incredibly unique, and I think. But then when I'm looking at like my nephew at the minute, so he's 15, 16 at school, doing art and trying to figure out what to do next, and it's quite interesting because they're not really teaching him how to use Photoshop. They're not really teaching them how to kind of monetize what they do and how to have a career in it. It's very much going back to like what you were saying earlier. Oh, this is what this artist does, replicate this and draw this, and what's your process and how did you get to that and what does this mean?
That's the starting blocks, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a very good little illustrator, but he's kind of asking me, where do I go from here? What do I do? I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be a tattoo artist. I want to do kind of illustrations for magazines and things. I don't know the answer. I don't know.
So many kids ask me that, at conventions and stuff, like, how do you do this as a job? How did you do it? And I'm just like, essentially, really what I'm like is like Forky. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I usually say don't.
Work really hard. I say work really hard and practice. And then you never know. You might get lucky, because you've got to make sure to tell them that I was in the right place at the right time. I'm very lucky. Because people think it's all to do with your skill. And a lot of artists put that across as well. Successful artists, they'll put that across. It was because of my God-given talent and all that bullshit. You were in the right place at the right time.
Well, what I kind of said to him was very much like, what is it you want to do? What's your end goal? Where do you want to get to? And we wanted to do like tattoo art and stuff like that. And I kind of said, well, my view, and I kind of caveated it heavily. I'm not saying I'm right here, and definitely go and speak to tattoo artists and have a chat. But your best thing that I can see is that you want to learn as much as you can. And how are you going to get to that? You're not going to be able to pay your bills doing that right out of the gate. So how do you pay your bills until you can get to that point where you can do that? Do you want to do some other kind of illustration, or do you want to do a job working at a supermarket or whatever that might be? So, and he's very much like, well, if I'm not doing that specific thing, I'd still like to work in illustration. It's like, well, find a course where you can learn to use Photoshop inside and out, or Adobe and the Adobe Suite stuff or whatever, so that you've always got some kind of graphic design thing that you can be doing, and you understand the fundamentals and the basics.
I would say Photoshop is better to learn as you go. I would say it's better to sort of just play with it, figure it out as you go. Watch some YouTube videos, but not too many, because they can teach you bad habits, I think. Because again, it's a means to an end, isn't it? It's what the end result is. And I'm pretty sure I don't use it how you're supposed to use it, but it doesn't matter.
I would say part of the reason, though, that it's not back to like why are they not giving him any sort of practical advice. Part of the reason is because most schools do not believe that art is a career of any sort. They'll play along with the gag and get you.
They'll even tell you. They'll teacher even told me you'll never make.
That's what I got told.
So
I went to the careers counsellor in year 10, which is before we start our 2 years of VCA, which is our the end of school. And they were like, right, so it's your time. What do we want to? What have you got? What ideas have you got? And I'm like, well, I only like art and design, bro. So like, what are you gonna fucking do about it? And he was just like, oh, okay. He was like, oh, okay. Well, those aren't. You can't have a job in those. There's no jobs in that stuff. What else have you got? And I was like, nothing else. And he's like, all right, well, come back when you got something else. I said, well, I'll never see you again, and I never went in there again, and that was it.
Yeah.
The thing is they're probably actually correct for the majority of people, because again, it is being seen by the right person and being lucky in right place and time. And I know there's lots of people better than me, but I was very lucky to be just at the right time at the end of the last decade. When I started out.
Yeah.
I think it's a miracle that I'm doing any of this, to be honest.
And now they're all just like, why should I even bother? Because AI is going to take my job anyway. That's what they all are scared of. But I mean, that's not going to happen, clearly.
No.
But obviously, I can see why somebody starting out would be extremely put off by that sort of stuff.
AI is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's going to I think shit's going to hit the fan big style with that. Because you've got hackers, these ethical hackers now that are starting to really dig into those AI programs.
It's all trained on people's work, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there was that one recently. I think me and Florey were talking about it, that they got it to spew out who its inspirations were from, and there was like some commercial art that one of these kind of programs had put together, and they were using it in ad campaigns, and these hackers had figured out that it had ripped off from all of these set people. So they were kind of putting together court cases to sue them because it's plagiarism.
Yeah.
It's used for commercial gain. You're stealing my art. So there's already been.
Won't stop them doing it though. Like, I mean, look at the clothing brands and stuff, like your Zara's of the world, that just take people's designs and shove them on a dress or shove them on some wrapping paper or whatever, and just go, what are you gonna do? Because that happens like crazy. Because there's just so much stuff out there. It's like a sea of stuff, So they just it's like white noise. Very sad, really.
Yeah. What a world, eh? What a world.
Yeah, burn it down. I'll go back. Start again.
Yeah, just turn the internet off and on again. I think just reset. Just big reset. That'd be fun.
Like the IT crowd that convinced her that there was that box that was the internet.
I think like the last generation, because obviously we came into internet, it came on when we were young. So we was like sort of we had before, and we can remember how that was. Then the next generation after that, you sort of kids born after 2000. That's just all they've ever known, and it wasn't really prepared, especially with social media. I don't think kids were prepared by their parents to how to deal with it very well. Maybe I could be wrong. I'm sure a lot of people do, but a lot don't clearly. And then now I think our kids, younger ones that are born around about now, are hopefully going to be prepared by us to be a bit more resilient and deal with the bullshit, because honestly, I can't imagine being a young kid, and then having all that shit online to have to deal with.
It's easy, isn't it, for people like us to go, it wouldn't have bothered me. This is how I was at school. It's like,
well, we just walk away. We didn't have it, but also like we know we had that direct experience. Probably, I don't know about you two, but of being bullied directly right in front of your face, and then you learn how to deal with it and just walk away. But like, if you just went home and it followed you home, because you can't not go online.
I mean,
so that must be horrible.
Yeah, that's the tricky part of it. It's even with kids now, just like even the simple act of like wanting an iPad, right? It's like, well, I don't know. I see it all the time. There's like kids at restaurants with just phones and iPads the second they sit down. And we get asked, and we've never done that. We've never used it as like a pacifier or whatever. So like today, this film that we saw, right? The Boy and the Heron is a 2.5 hour fucking existential thing about death and where you go and what happens with a fucking weird bird and all this sort of shit, right? So it should be over their heads by all accounts of what these dumb kids watch these days. And I'm not actually saying like, well, my kids are better or whatever. I'm just saying I've put in some effort to train them, right? So we don't have the iPad out all the time, and it is so difficult now with an almost 10-year-old that all they want, it's the only thing they want, because and it's hard to like, yes, all we wanted was our Nintendo, right? We'd just do that all holidays if our parents would have let us. But it is such a different thing because it's a passage to, it's not one thing. You're not just playing Mario or F-Zero, you're playing there's 15 fucking games on there. Half of them are connected to their friends. They've also got Messenger open. They've also got access to the entire fucking internet. No matter what you think about your parental controls, they'll do what they want. All right. So it's really, really hard. You've got to train them. You've got to have conversations. I think that's like Matt was saying, like kids now will be better versed, and the generation before them, or that half step generation, are fucked. Like you look at it now, the younger end of Gen Z are fucking dumb as dishwater, and also like really naive about. And that's half a joke, but like they're really naive about the internet in somewhat, even though they've been on it their whole lives. They're just they believe everything. Like there's something about scams. It's like the biggest demographics that fall for them are like young Gen Z and our parents. All the in between have kind of like a bullshit detector, but these kids don't seem to, and that's a fucking real worry. And I'm glad that we're hopefully pulling them out of that.
Training is the right word. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know, as a parent, that's kind of like for me personally, you're not there to always be their best friend.
No,
you've got to train the child like a wild animal. They essentially would be a wild animal if they weren't taught. You know.
So what's Mabel doing on this holidays? She's working with her mates. There's like 6 of them or something. They're working in Minecraft to put on a play of The Lion King. It's going to be 8 minutes long or something, and they're condensing it down. They've like skinned their characters in, all the characters from this, and they're going to record the songs and like play it all out. I don't know when the performance is, but they're working towards it. I'm like, that is an incredible thing, right? But that means that she needs to be on Minecraft for like 4 hours a night. I'm like, so like, where's that balance? How do you meet? What's your obligation there? And it's just so tricky.
I wonder if the next generation will tell me. They won't do like what we did with the films and the comics and stuff, because obviously that was like our entertainment, and we just consumed that like mad. Like as soon as I got into movies when I was like about 5, that was kind of like all I wanted to do. I just remember wanting to watch movies and TV shows like crazy.
Yeah.
And just into my eyeballs. But now, obviously, it's a bit different, isn't it? Because, like you said, there's so much stuff and everything's so accessible.
Yeah. Well, this
They
is
can
the
just
thing.
watch whatever they want, whenever they want. So then you don't watch it, do you? Because you go, oh, whatever. And you spend like longer scrolling through stuff trying to find something to watch. Whereas we had 3 videotapes, so ET got watched about 50 times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Kindergarten.
It was this is one of the reasons why I think cinema's dying to a degree, isn't it? Because kids just, when we were younger, that's what we did. Twice a week, we'd go to the cinema.
It's all about, it's all
there's all
video
of that.
games now.
And screen time and things along those lines. So that's quite interesting. And I also saw Will Smith posted this the other day, which was terrifying, where they were taking, obviously a screen generally is oblong, rectangle shape, but upwards. So when you play a film like that, it's going to square it off and you lose the sides. There's this new AI
Pan
thing.
and scan.
Brilliant. No, there's this new AI thing that gives you the full kind of screen, but what it does is it fills in those gaps above and below it. So someone had done, so basically you could watch the film like that, but rather than it cropping down, it filled in the gaps instead.
Oh, that's terrifying.
So like if you dive over to, it's like on Will Smith posted it, they did it on, why they would test it on I Am Legend, that Will Smith I Am Legend is beyond me, but
of course
people have always been this way though. Like how many people in your life, I don't know about you, have got upset when we were kids, like about black bars top and bottom, because obviously widescreen film, but I was always like, no, I want the full film. And then it's gone like the other way. Like I saw some people complaining about the creator on IMAX having black bars top and bottom because it's like a proper anamorphic movie. And they're like, it's not using the full IMAX screen, that doesn't count. And it's like, well, that's the ratio of the movie. That's what it is. So you want to cut the sides off? No.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We had quite a lot of grief. Not a lot, but we had some grief from folks.
One person said.
One person. It was more than one.
We just dwell on that one person.
Easily 2. Yeah, like moaning that, oh God, why is Evil Dead in widescreen? It should be in 4, whatever it is. It should be this, and this. I'm like, are you mad? Why?
That's what. But widescreen tapes were the ones you would seek out, like the Star Wars. Yeah. You didn't get the gold box tape; you got the silver box tape because that was the widescreen version. I think.
Yes,
it was the gold box wide.
No, the gold.
Yes,
silver
was wide. That's us, and we care about these things. There are people that live in the world now that buy a new 4K OLED 75-inch television and leave the motion smoothing on. This is what these people are doing. Okay.
Yeah,
this is what we're dealing with here.
Like people used to do that though with widescreen TVs. They'd stretch it, and you'd go, and it'd be a stretched picture, and they'd be like, "Oh God, I can't watch this. That's an oval, not a circle. Anyway, I'm going to lose my mind."
Old man is old. You watch. Where there's not that long until they film a fucking movie in vertical, and it becomes the most popular film of that year. I can tell you right now.
I think a lot of kids think they've watched movies through TikToks, don't they? Though, so they've watched a movie condensed into a minute, and they think they've watched the movie, and they say, "Oh yeah, that was good."
Well, no, they'll sit there and watch it in like 3-minute chunks, right? They'll just sit there and because people put films up recorded in like what was there was a joke on some podcast I was listening to, and like it wasn't a joke because he watched Dune on his phone in 3-minute chunks and loved it, and I was like, "Fuck, how does that happen?"
God,
how does this happen?
This amazing meme that somebody had made, and they were like, "Finally, I've got to watch Nolan's Oppenheimer in the way he intended," and they had it on a Game Boy. That's so good. It was on a Game Boy. And I was like, "Oh, that's amazing! I forgot that they used to do that on Game Boy."
Yeah,
incredible.
That is totally the way you've got to watch Oppenheimer on a Game Boy for sure.
I think that's
square, isn't it? So it's the full IMAX 70mm. So what's your problem?
Right, I'm gonna have to wrap up because we've had some prints delivered, so I've got to go and check those over.
Okay. Oh, you get to say, "Wow, they're amazing."
Why don't you just go do it off screen, and we'll listen to what you have to say.
Recording.
Yeah,
perfect. We'll do another episode soon for Christmas / New Year's.
We'll be back with our Christmassy episode.
Yeah, I think we're going to do a little bit of. We're going to have to prepare for once. Look out and look up our favorite films, favorite posters, all that sort of jazz.
That'll be so we'll come back with questions, right? Some of the stuff we want people to talk about is what they think their favourite stuff was, and we can go on with that. Maybe
tell them how they're
wrong. I don't know how that works in terms of a question.
Yeah,
and then
tell
say
them how they're wrong.
What? What?
You know, so either comment below or send us an email at... What is it, James? I don't even know.
I'll do a tweet if you want. Ask questions for the Christmas episode.
.com.
Wait, I'm really glad
Just
that Matt
talked all
spoke
over that.
over you giving that email address. Yep. So to send in questions, it is openchannel@vice-press.com.
Is that what it is? What is it? Sorry? What is it?
That's what he said.
What,
Yes,
openvicechannel.com?
Shut up! I'm going to strangle you through the...
Just reach out. They know
So
how.
do that.
We've got a contact
Yeah,
form.
send us that. Watch the thing, and we'll be back in a bit.
We're going to do a watch along
quite soon.
in January. We're going to do a watch along as well, aren't we, everyone?
What are we going to watch along?
Don't know. We've not decided. Maybe we could put it to the vote to create some feedback.
There you go. Comment below or send in that email with what film we should watch.
What do you want us to watch?
Along.
And we'll all watch along because the Transformers one was fun. We'll watch along. Anything.
Yeah.
Have to figure out how we do that.
As long as it's not rubbish. Right.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, fantastic. All right. That's the end of this episode, apparently. They're all just leaving. So, adios. Until next time. We're off.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.